actually make money doing it. But also GitHub sponsors, it allows the developer community, right, to financially support the people and organizations who design and build and like maintain the open source projects that they depend on directly from GitHub. So that's something that's cool. When we're thinking about, and going back to your portfolio, when you're thinking about your community, what are you doing for yourself to actually branch out? And what are you doing for yourself to showcase what you're learning? Even if it's hello world, where are you going? How are you identifying the platforms that you're using to house your code, right? And what community are you tapping in to get where you need to be? So I'm going to conclude this a little, then I'll open it up to some questions that you guys can write in the chat. So I labeled 3 main components, right, to the keys of developer success, right? One being community and resources. One being community, second resources, third portfolio. And all of this leads, if you're building your community, you already have a team of people who can vouch for your credentials, can write recommendations, can kind of talk to what you showed them and what you've done, right? When you're thinking about resources, it taps into your access. How are you looking or making opportunities for access for yourself? And how are you utilizing whatever you're giving? How are you using the open source? How are you using the web to your advantage to build up the skills that you want to do? If you're into web development, are you focused on HTML, CSS, JavaScript, right? Are you specializing in those so that you can just move forward with the applications that you're building, these apps that you want to contribute? Maybe you're a startup founder, right? If you're a startup founder, do you want to develop your own projects, or you want to have a team? Do you want to lead your team, right? How are you utilizing the resources that you're given or that you can find online? And then based on your portfolio, right, you never know who's looking, right? You can get a whole lot of sponsorships, investments. Right now, this company is holding this webinar, right? I'm in GitHub. If you guys have awesome projects you're working on, right? How are you utilizing us in these companies that we're in to kind of promote your growth? But also, I think one of the main things too is, depending on what level you're in, how are you paying it forward, right? How are you saying, hey, I learned this, so now let me write documentation on that, on what I learned? How am I showcasing my projects? How am I getting buy-in from my professors to say, hey, this is good, this is something needed, and how can I move forward with it based on if it's a need or not? How can I build? How can I add more of my friends to this project for us to make something work? So I'm going to pause there. Well, I'm going to stop there. Do you guys, and there were questions, right? On the forum, a lot of people kind of asked different questions around this session. So I know with a lot of them, I answered in this chat, but if there's any other questions too, I'm going to read some, but also feel free to type it or say it. Don't be shy. Or I can start too, right? Basically, there was one question that came up. How does pipelines assist in getting good roles, right? And that's good. So as I was talking about creating essential communities, as I was talking about your network, right? One big thing right now is recruiters are right now on LinkedIn, reaching out with everybody that you can change your status to open to roles. You could change your status to, learning, right? But you'll always have recruiters from different avenues looking for developers or people to work, right? So how are you making your LinkedIn talk on your behalf, right? Based on pipelines, like I was talking about, there's different companies. Are you tapping into internships? Are you connecting with people in fields that you're interested in, right? If it's not a job, can you shadow them maybe once a week? Can you work? And my thing about it is a lot of people are busy, to be honest. A lot of people are busy working on applications, doing their daily work that they do. So let's say I'm a mentee or I want to be mentored and I'm coming to you saying, hey, I'm so interested being a developer. I know you're a developer at Apple. Can you be my mentor? Can you shadow me? Can I shadow you, right? For someone, or oftentimes you'll get a, okay, not right now, or I'll email you back, or we'll talk later. You get what I'm saying? So what's important is how are you doing the work to ease off the time spent with them, if that makes sense, right? Thumbs up if that makes sense. If not, I don't know what options you guys have. But if that makes sense, thumbs up. So that's why it's very important to do the work, to showcase like, hey, I've worked on this project. Um, I utilized Swift to create this application. It's not working. I see that you work on a back end on X, Y, and Z. I'm trying to make this move. I'm trying to make this work. Can you help? And if so, this is the path I want to take. And be specific and detail your needs so that it's not a, I wouldn't say burden, so that it's not too much on somebody else, if that makes sense. Awesome. So Victor put a question. How do you get jobs when you don't have the years of experience required, but have the required skills? Portfolio. There's a lot of jobs that's gonna write, I need 5 years job experience. But if you have that 1 year of job experience, you can apply for that job, right? That's number one. Number two, I would recommend to look for a recruiter or look for people in maybe that role in that company, send an email to info at that company and say, hey, I actually have all the required experience, all the requirements for this application. Can I learn more about what it is to hone my skill to be accepted into this job? Fun fact, when I was, I think in 2015, that's when I started with Black Girls Code. The requirements were you had to have what, a master's degree. I don't have a master's degree. You need to have a master's degree. You have to have 10 years of programming experience in the professional field. And in 2015, I graduated from university, right? I was going to apply anyways, so I did. I think statistics show that women wait till they're 80 to 90% ready, or they have all the credentials of the role before they apply to a role. And then men, 60% and they apply. Continue applying. If you have the experience needed, make sure your resume proves that your experience outweighs your years of experience, right? Your required skills that you can perfect can showcase on your LinkedIn, on your portfolio, so that they can be like, okay, he doesn't have the years, but look what he's done. Also, how are you active on social media, right? How are you showcasing, putting your portfolio on your social media? How are you talking about things you're learning now? What's the relevance to who you are and where you want to be? Because people are looking, from every avenue. Generally, if I would have to do a background check, let's say on a school, right, to make sure they're legitimate, I have to look at, there's different applications that we use to verify legitimacy, right? But also we also look at like statistics from schools, if they're good at having good like people talk on their behalf, or we see projects and the outcome is pours way better than maybe the simplicity of them reaching out to us, then we'll approve them, because their experience or what they have, their portfolio shows that there are great institutions that's doing the work. Does anybody want to, so let me pivot it if it's not questions right now. So does anybody want to kind of tap into or talk through their experience or where they want to be when thinking about their software development journey? I want to open the floor to kind of see, because I know there's a lot of beginners or people open to coding. So what are some hardships you guys are having in this environment? right now? Don't be shy. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you guys can definitely unmute.
Hi,
Hi.
how are you doing today?
I'm fine.
So I have,
How are you?
I'm fine. So I have a question. Currently, I'm in data science, so I'm majorly doing data science. But I've had interaction with the community, and I feel like I'll be more satisfied if I move towards doing data science while interacting with the community. So I was like wanting to pivot into developer relations, like me and the community having more interaction. But I did a research. Yes, there's a lot of activity. There are a lot of resources out there. But what could be your advice, maybe since you are in that field, talking a lot with the community? So maybe what could be your advice?
So to get your question right, you're studying data science, right? But you're interested in developer relations.
No, I'm currently practicing data
Yep.
science. Yeah,
Okay.
but because of the community interaction I've had, I've felt like I feel more satisfied when I'm working closer to the community compared to me just building models, and all that at the office. So
Yeah. Yeah. So I think independently is good to like you said, work on your projects, right? But with community, there's so much strength in numbers, right? Because they can also take time and review your work. They can also be people that you present in front of and give you honest feedback, right? So what I would say is just like I mentioned before, and let me tap back in my slides with community. Are you involved in any external Twitter groups, right? Facebook groups? Who are you following? Like, are you following people in communities that you admire, right? Not envy, but admire that they're doing great work. And how can you join communities that they're a part of, right? And grow. But I think you're doing a good job so far. If you favor your community, that's one check. And how are you utilizing them as user testers to projects that you're working on, right? So it's you're doing a good job with that. So really, really hone in on your community. Go to more meetups if you can. Put out your projects there and get critical and get real feedback. So that's good, and I'm excited for your journey so far.
thank you. Okay, let me ask another question.
Sure.
Okay, so maybe if I want to work at GitHub Education, since finally I have a chance to talk to someone who is working at GitHub. So if I want to work at GitHub, maybe how do I start, or how was your journey? Did they reach out to you, or you reach out to them? So at least you can share with us.
Yeah. So mine was a little bit different because I'm with GitHub Education and I work with the GitHub Campus program. I was actually personally asked to work on that in that department. So depending on the role, right? So let's say we have a bunch of open positions online. So I'll say feel free to tap in and apply for positions. But if you're going more in the engineering route, there are some technical practice assignments you'll have to do to pass through first. Then you'll go to the next round. But obviously, first you'll have conversations with the recruiter to see if you're a good fit, right? But, anyways, it goes back to portfolio, right? Because I've been doing and I've been building out my portfolio and I had things of reference. That's why I got the position that I was able to get now, right? But if you have nothing to stand for, you can't showcase your work or what you've been working on, then it's hard for somebody to really just look at a resume with no portfolio, especially if you're going for a software engineer job or any project management job, to really kind of see your progress through a piece of paper or through an application online, right? So really be intentional with your projects and what you're kind of learning, and how you can showcase that in real time when you're talking to somebody, when you're talking to a recruiter. Yes, yes, I apply. Apply for entry-level jobs, but also tap into networks, showcase if you're done with that and you created maybe an application that works or something you're proud of, right? You see how I tapped into communities, right? In a Twitter group, you can just randomly say, "Hey, everybody, I'm actually looking for a job. I specialize in Java. I've worked on this project. Look at this." Right? Look at this. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me your feedback. There can be somebody that's like, "Oh, snap, company is looking for an entry level developer or looking for a product." You said product manager, right? Um, Looking for an entry level product manager that needs somebody now. There's a lot of even startups that's like, okay, we need somebody to manage the flow of agile methodology, utilizing product management, right? So number one, clearly apply. But number two, be vocal through your communities, right? Share your resume. Do that. If you want to share your resume with me, you can. I'll pass it on. But also, like, be mindful of like your skill and really push behind it, because it's really wasted talent if you're doing all this work to just apply to 1-2 jobs a day. If you don't have a job, or if you don't have if you're looking for an entry level position based on your skills that you need, I'll say comply continuously, at least 5 jobs a day, at least. Because right now the remote work is really booming, I would say, and they're targeting a lot of companies from India and Africa currently. So that's really important. And that's good, because some people are willing to either relocate you or keep you where you are, just willing to work on your time. So I think this is the opportunity now to jump in.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I,
good evening. So can you hear me?
yes.
So my question really is, how do you kind of like handle the should I call it stress or the trend in the environment in the tech industry? For instance, I'm a backend developer. Yes, I want to major on backend, and then I started with Node.js. And over time, the companies I like to apply to, they have some set of skills that they require. Maybe you have to know microservices, you have to do this. And if I start learning that now, in the next few months, they will have some other requirements. Maybe there'll be a new trend coming out. And I also like to learn that also before getting a job. And sometimes it happens that I just find myself sitting at home, not getting jobs. I really don't know how to come out of this shell. I don't know
Yeah.
if you understand the question.
I do. I think this is what a lot of people like. Just like I said before, tech is booming. There could be a different. Right now, Rust is emerging. Rust programming language. I'm like, what is that? Like, what's going on, right? But going back to your statement, right? Going back to your statement, I suggest stick to a job description or a kind of area that you want to be an expert in, right? If you're an expert in that, it's hard, along with, I think, different ranges of skills, right? Soft skills, hard skills too. If you perfect something, then you can just stick with it and look for jobs that apply in that realm. like technology will forever and continuously advance, right? So for example, let's say I want to be a web developer, right? And I know there's different programming languages that's going to continuously arise, right? But I know I want to focus, or I want to perfect Java or JavaScript. I want to perfect JavaScript and make sure I'm great at creating web applications. How is your portfolio? How is my portfolio based on the skills that I've taken the time to sit down and learn? How am I showcasing it in a creative light so that when I'm tapping into this job that has the basic requirements, but now a whole lot of requirements, they will say, you know what? This person has done X, Y, and Z with Node.js, right? I can see it based on the application that he's created. Now I'll feel comfortable to bring him on because he can, based on the time that, if they have a conversation, this is the time you can say, I took what, 4 months to learn and really be proficient in Node.js, right? So based on your skills that you took time to learn, and you could feel confident, like, okay, either whether I want to move to something else or add something else to my portfolio, I know I have this skill that I'm adamant about because you can't tell me nothing, right? If you're able to showcase it, right, that's something you can talk to well, then somebody, because at every job you will, even if you have the skill, they'll teach you what they want you to learn. You get what I'm saying? They will teach you what you need to be perfect at the job, and then you add on your skills to be amazing at that. Does that make sense? So I don't want you to get discouraged. I want you to hone in your skill. Maybe identify the job description if it's too much, clearly, but be particular about what specifically you want and work towards that so that you could continuously talk based on your experience and your portfolio. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
No problem. What communities are you a part of? What projects have you worked on? And just like you said, and I think what's important, you said you feel like you haven't gotten far. To other people, if you showcase your projects and if you showcase different things that you've done, even if it's a hello world and you move forward, just as I stated over and over, right? You might be more advanced than somebody that's just learning. Maybe they took the time as you, but you haven't put yourself or your things out there for you to understand what growth is. Does that make sense? And this is me assuming. This is me assuming. So don't take it too hard. But I'm just trying to say, start off with projects, create a repository, create an organization, and showcase your projects and your skills to the public, to these communities, right? Tap into your communities and then showcase it and create a portfolio. And I think you'll be surprised if you feel like you haven't gotten far. If you showcase everything you've worked on, you'll be impressed at what comes out of it. Because there are some organizations, some companies that's ready to, hire people that's willing to learn based on what they already know now. Well, thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me on a call. This was really great. If you have any questions, concerns, you can join me or follow me or DM me at Abena Praba. And Instagram and my Twitter. No, okay, sounds Thank Sounds good. Thank you guys for having